Welcome to Toy-Polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi and another review of a vintage toy, and this time it's going to be the Cyborgs Cybo-Interceptor, as you can see here in front of me. Now the Cyborg line of toys has a little bit of a strange history because they were originally based on g.i.joe dolls that were released in Japan and turned into clear plastic. These were then shrunk down and turned into smaller cyborgs called shonen cyborgs. These were then brought back over to the UK and turned into the Cyborgs and Mutons line by a company called Dennis Fisher and Strawberry Fair. So they were originally a Western toy, taken to Japan, converted back to a Western toy, and then released in the UK as Cyborg. So a very strange toy line. And they were released in 1977 and only lasted a few years. Most of the toys were based on the Japanese issue toys, apart from a couple of things, and those are the Cybo-Interceptor and the Cybo-Invader, which are both UK and US exclusive toys, and you will not find them anywhere else. So today we're going to take a look at the Cybo-Interceptor, as I have here in front of me. First up, let's take a look at the box. As you can see from the front, it actually looks quite an impressive toy with an original retail value, as you can see there, of £2.99. So absolute bargain back in 1977. Obviously, if you try and buy this now, it's going to cost you a lot more. And as you can see on the corner of the box, it says the cyborg figure is not included. So what you get is just this vehicle here. So if we turn to the side here, you can see nothing can outmaneuver this devastating strike craft. 1. Nuclear missiles. I'm guessing they're not really nuclear missiles. 2. Vertical thrust engines, again not actual engines. 3. Horizontal thrust engines, yeah, again not actual engines. 4. Computerized survival, yeah, no computers, it's all plastic. 5. Safety harness, oh yeah, that does work. 6. Controls, doesn't. And magnetic shield activator, again there's no magnets in this. So it's a lot of extra information. And on the back you can also see this is the Cybo-Invader, which is a different toy but actually contains this toy as well. So if you bought this and then bought the Cybo-Invader, you'd get this toy as well stuck inside the Cybo-Invader. So a very strange design decision there to get two toys with basically the same bits, but that's what's on the box. So let's open this up and we'll see what's inside. You can take the lid off, and as you can see, this is a lovely boxed with all inserts version that I was able to pick up off eBay for a fairly large amount of money, because these are quite rare toys, but still well worth it. So we take it out of the box, you get the toy, you get some missiles, if I just pull those up there, and some instructions. So I'm going to realign my camera and we'll show you the toy in its full glory. So here it is with the wings unfurled. As you can see, it's made out of fairly cheap plastic, I would say very cheap plastic, and the construction of it is a bit rubbish really, because there are screws visible all over the place. You can see screws here, and the plastic feels quite brittle. Oops, I just fired a missile there. Luckily there's another missile, so I can just drop that in. But it's fairly cheaply made, really. Compared to the other toys in the line, which are all based on the original Japanese molds, this thing is cheap and cheerful and clearly designed on a budget. But it does a job, I suppose. It comes in quite nice colours, a sort of raspberry and metallic sort of finish to it. It has wheels that don't particularly work well. They sort of roll. The design of this front one means that the pin that holds it on actually rubs on the floor rather than the wheel itself. And it's not amazing. I'm guessing at the time it might have been amazing, but now it does look a little bit shabby. And as you saw a second ago, it does come with firing missiles on both wings. If I just press this button here, you can see they fire out. They do fire out with quite some force actually. If I try and fire it at the back wall just so I don't lose them, you can see they're actually pretty vicious missiles, so it's quite a nice little feature on that side. Now the main problem I have with this toy is actually getting the figure in it. As you can see here, this is the sort of safety harness that you're supposed to drop the figure through, and this is screwed in place. There's a screw on this side and a screw on this side. Now if I bring in a cyborg, as you can see here, these cyborgs are fairly delicate these days. They are over 40 years old and they tend to be a little bit on the brittle side, but I do want to try and get this cyborg into the ship. Now to do that you actually have to bend his legs in that sort of position, and with a little bit of careful squeezing, I'm going to do this very carefully because I really don't want to bend or break my cyborg. There you go, you can just about squeeze him in, but it's not the easiest of things to do. The design for that belt is pretty terrible. It just it holds him in, but it really should need a catch or something on one side so you can pull that off and easily put him in. But there you go, that is the Cyborg sitting in the cockpit seat. Now, as I said when reviewing the box of this toy actually comes in the other toy as well. If you look on the box, you can see there is this Cybo Invader, and the seat part of this Cybo Invader is just this toy again stuck inside the toy. So if you bought the Cybo Invader, you actually get both of these toys in one, and then they decided to release the seat on its own, which seems a strange idea, but I guess it's a good bang for your buck sort of thing. You've only got to design one toy and you can sell 2 lots of packaging or 2 lots of vehicles for the same amount of production, so I can see why they did it. But really, compared to the Japanese toys, the construction of this is pretty cheap and cheerful. The toys that the figures are based on, all the Japanese ones are very nicely designed, lots of detail, lots of quality to them, but these vehicles are cheap and cheerful sort of British constructions, and it really does show. But that doesn't mean they're not good. I do quite like the sort of the kitsch design to them, the little bits of detailing and sort of jets and bits on the back of it in the sculpting. It's quite nice, and it's very of its time. These are sort of mid to late 70s, so other toys around that time were quite sort of badly made as well. If you look at some of the Mego toys, the vehicles really aren't that great quality, so this sort of does fit in with that era of toy making. So the big question is this toy worth getting? And I would have to say yes, because I do quite like the Cyborgs anyway as a toy line, and it's nice to have some little vehicles to go with them. As you can see, I have a few Cyborgs here, and they have the normal weapons that you can swap out for their arms and legs, but there are only these 2 vehicles that they can sit in, so it's really worth getting them because they look quite nice on display, and they are relatively easy to get. The figures themselves are pretty hard to find, but these vehicles come up fairly regularly. Prices tend to vary. Loose you can get them sort of £20, boxed about £40 for this Cybo-Interceptor, so not a huge amount of money, and the box artwork is great. It's a very nice sort of bit of 70s design. As I said, these are released by Dennis Fisher under the Strawberry Fair sort of moniker, so just keep an eye out for those. They do come up on eBay quite regularly, so just have a search around there and you will find one. I hope my review of this toy has been of interest to you, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching Toy-Polloi. Subscribe for more great videos.